Welcome to Global View. Join us on this multi-visual journey around the world.
Today I'm proud to declare that the United States is in the midst of an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen before. We've regained our stride, rediscovered our spirit, and reawakened the powerful machinery of American enterprise. America is thriving, America is flourishing, and yes, America is winning again like never before. Just last week alone, the United States concluded 2 extraordinary trade deals, the agreement with China and the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, the 2 biggest trade deals ever made. They just happened to get done in the same week. These agreements represent a new model of trade for the 21st century, agreements that are fair, reciprocal, and that prioritize the needs of workers and families. America's economic turnaround has been nothing short of spectacular. When I took office 3 years ago, America's economy was in a rather dismal state. Under the previous administration, nearly 200,000 manufacturing jobs had vanished. Wages were flat or falling. Almost 5 million more Americans had left the labor force than had gotten jobs, and more than 10 million people had been added to the food stamp rolls. The experts predicted a decade of very, very slow growth, or maybe even negative growth, high unemployment and a dwindling workforce, and very much a shrinking middle class. Millions of hardworking, ordinary citizens felt neglected, betrayed, forgotten. They were rapidly losing faith in the system. Before my presidency began, the outlook for many nations was bleak. Top economists warned of a protracted worldwide recession. The World Bank lowered its projections for global growth to a number that nobody wanted to even think about. Pessimism had taken root deep in the minds of leading thinkers, business leaders, and policymakers. Yet despite all of the cynics, I had never been more confident in America's future. I knew we were on the verge of a profound economic resurgence if we did things right, one that would generate a historic wave of investment, wage growth, and job creation. I knew that if we unleashed the potential of our people, if we cut taxes, slashed regulations, and we did that at a level that's never been done before in the history of our country in a short period of time, fixed broken trade deals, and fully tapped American energy, that prosperity would come thundering back at a record speed. And that is exactly what we did, and that is exactly what happened. Since my election, America has gained over 7 million jobs, a number unthinkable. I wouldn't say it, I wouldn't talk about it, but that was a number that I had in mind. The projection was 2 million, we did 7. More than 3 times the government's own projections. The unemployment rate is now less than 3.5%, and at 3.5%, that's a number that is the lowest in more than 50 years.
The president is playing in international affairs, not just foreign policy, but trade policy. Now, folks said he was an isolationist and so forth and so on. The reality is we've cut huge trade deals, one in China, one in North America, one in South Korea, one in Japan. We're still working on the EU. In fact, I will be in the bilateral with the new president of the EU and President Trump. So he has been very prominent in international affairs, and he is an optimist. And I think the country's in a better place, to be honest with you. I just think people are happier. The president mentioned that today in his speech. I think we're in a better place.
Can you explain a little bit about what this plan is and how quickly you think you can move forward on it?
Sure. Well, let me first just put this in perspective, because there's no question that the president's economic agenda is working. The combination of tax cuts, regulatory relief, and now trade, getting the 2 big trade deals done last week. And the president has asked us to start working on what we call Tax 2.0, and that will be additional tax cuts that fuel the economy.
What will they look like?
Well, there'll be tax cuts for the middle class, and we'll be also looking at other incentives to stimulate economic growth.
Can you give us any hint as to what that is yet? Or still early?
I won't preview them here today, but again, they'll be focused on items that will increase economic growth.
Why looking at the middle class as tax cuts for there right now?
Again, I think the president feels that we need to continue to incentivize the middle class, that their taxes have been too high historically. We had big tax cuts already, and that's an area we'll continue to look at.
Tesla's now worth more than GM and Ford. Do you have comments on Elon Musk?
Well, you have to give him credit. I spoke to him very recently, and he's also doing the rockets. He likes rockets, and he does good at rockets, too, by the way. I never saw where the engines come down with no wings, no anything, and they're landing. I said, I've never seen that before. And I was worried about him because he's one of our great geniuses, and we have to protect our genius. You know, we have to protect Thomas Edison, and we have to protect all of these people that came up with originally the light bulb and the wheel and all of these things. And he's one of our very smart people, and we want to cherish those people. That's very important. But he's done a very good job. Shocking how well, you know, how it's come so fast. I mean, you go back a year, and they were talking about the end of the company, and now all of a sudden they're talking about these great things. He's going to be building a very big plant in the United States. He has to, because we help him, so he has to help us.